Hello guys and welcome back. Now let's work on this play button. Okay, so this button we are going to have two buttons here. If you are in here in the single player, you will see the play button. If you click on the multiplayer, if you are not signed in here, you are going to see the sign in button. If you are signed in, you are going to see the play button. Okay, so let's work on that. So first, let's import some assets that we want to use for the image and for the sign in button, which is going to be a Google sign in. It's the one that we are going to use in this project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this aside here, then minimize that, and then I've got these two buttons, the user icon and the Google icon. Okay, so first, okay, before that, let's minimize our application. Maybe let's maximize this first. First thing that I'm going to do is here on the root, I'm just going to right click, then create a new folder. This folder, I'm going to name it assets. Okay, now inside the assets folder, again, I'm going to right click, then new folder. I'm going to name it images. Okay, because I'm going to have I might have the assets for the audio as well, because we are going to be playing audio once maybe when we are entering the words or after game over. Now we have the assets file here. We need to go to the pubs.yaml file, then down here where there's assets, we have to uncomment it. And then let's also uncomment the images. We make sure we bring it here below the second S. Then here we reference it in assets/images. Okay, because this is going to be for the images, the one that we have created here. Okay, great. Now that we have that, we can move this aside like this, and then we can get these two assets. Let's just drag them in the images here. Okay, let's put them there. Now we can see that it's under assets and then under images, these two assets. Now we can maximize this, and then now since we have it here, we can go ahead and save. While it's saving, we can just bring this up. Okay, looks like it's done saving. Now we can close that. Okay, now the next thing to do is to create our assets manager, where we're going to be managing our assets, because as the app grows bigger, we are going to have a lot of assets. Okay, so here under utility, I'm going to right click and then create a new file. This is going to be assets manager.dat. So this is going to be class assets manager, like that. And then here, okay, looks like Copilot is already assisting us, so let's click tab. So we're going to have the images path, which is assets/images, and then for the icons, and then for the fonts. Okay, it's just knows that we might need this later on. Okay, so what we are going to get is, right now we only have images. Maybe let's remove all of these because we don't have them for now. Okay, so now let's call our images first. Okay, so this method, the way, let's remove that. The way it has created this is that we can call our asset by whenever we want to call it, we call this function string image, and then once we put the asset name of that image, it's just going to call it from here, which means wherever we are calling it, we need to write this Google in this method, and then it's going to call it. Okay, so this is great, but I'm not gonna call it like that. Let's just simply call it here we name it as a Google logo. And then instead of also calling it like that, you can see that it's already given us an error. We just need to put them in a string. Okay, so let's remove this and then create a string here. We wrap brackets. So we put a $sign there and then put it in the brackets, and then let's click tab. Okay, so we're going to call the path, and then we're going to call the icon. But this it will give us an error because we need to get the name which is here, okay, which is just google.jpg. okay, jpg. All right, that's the name of our asset here, the image. So this is going to be the Google logo, and then let's also get the user icon. Okay, user icon. Now here it's just going to call it user icon, image path, and then user. So here it's also calling it wrong. It's named as user underscore icon. Yeah, so that's how we are going to call our user icon and then our Google logo. And then that's it for the asset manager. For now, we are going to come back here. Once we add more assets, we have to manage them here, okay, so that we can call them easier. Now we can close that and save it. Let's now create these buttons. Okay, first let's start with the play button. Okay, so let's go in the widgets here, right click, new file. So this is going to be, we're going to name it as a play button, I think. Yeah, let's just name it the way it is. Okay, play button dot. So this is going to be a stateless widget. And then here, of course, we're going to say, okay, let me go back. I want to edit all of them at the same time. Let's say play button, like that. And then here, let's create it. So first, let's pass a title. Required this dot title, and then let's also have an on tap. So maybe this yeah, we can just call it on tap, or if you want we can call it tap action, but that's fine, it's still the same. So let's initialize the title, let's initialize the function, and then here we just need to return a size box because we want to keep track of the size of this button. And then now here, instead of all of these, let's go to the global, because we have a button here which is an elevated button. Okay, there's nothing here, so we can just create it. So here, first of all, let's have a width. So the width, let's have a like 50% of the screen, like that. Next, let's now have an elevated button. So let's close it like that. So right now it's like this. If we go to global, here we can have a play button with a title of play, and then on top we have to start the game here, which is something that we'll make. Now let's hot reload. Okay, if we click here, there is our button. We are still creating this button, so let's go back in this button. Now here, the first thing that we are going to put is the style. Okay, let's give it some style. So it's coming from that, and then this is not called primary, it's called background. So the color, let's go our deep purple, and then the font size of the text, let's see, okay, this, it has to be a constant. And then the color, let's give it a white color. Colors dot white. Let's see what other things can we give it? Maybe the elevation. We want it to be like more moved up a bit. So let's say material is called material state property. Where is that? Material state property, and then here let's maybe just 2. Okay, so why are we having an error? Okay, let's remove this style. Okay, so we just want to say here we need to say button style. Okay, button style like that. All right, now the background, we have that background. So here we also need to call, let's cut it. Also need to call material state property dot color, and then let's put a color there. So this text style also, it cannot be here, so which means let's remove it. We have to put it on the text. Next thing we can put here is a shape. Okay, even the padding. So let's first start with the padding. So the padding, again, we have to call material property route, and then this padding here, let's have it not symmetric. Let's just say O, and then the padding, we can give it a constant dot edge insets dot O. So we're missing a bracket. Sorry, let's remove that. That is already there. Remove that. Okay, and then next here we can have a shape. Shape, where can we go? It's right after the padding. Let's call the shape. So the shape, we want it to be rounded, rectangular. So material state property, okay, not that. Again, we need to say material state property and then rectangular, and then here instead of 10, let's have 25. Okay, great. Now this is going to have a child, okay, which is this child. Okay, we already put the child here. Now let's give this child now some style. Okay, so style, which comes from text style. Here we want to put the font size. Let's go with 18. And then what else? Let's put the color. So the color is going to be white, of course. Colors to white. And then what else? Let's put the letter spacing. This can be like 1.5. And then we have to put the constant keyword here. Right. Now let's hot reload. Yeah, there is our button. Now it looks nice and big. So if we click here, now we can have a big play button that everyone can see. Okay, so this is going to be our play button. Now when we click here, we need to have some checks. Okay, so before the checks, let's create the login button. Okay, the other button, the sign in button. Okay, so it's going to be similar with this one. So let's come here, right click, new file. This is going to be the sign in button dot. So this is also going to be a stateless widget. Sign in button. So this one is also going to require some properties. So first of all, let's correct this. It should be sign in. I'm gonna copy that, then paste it there. Now here we're going to require this dot First, let's have a logo URL, and then we're going to have on pressed. Yeah, we're going to need on pressed, and then also we're going to need a label. Okay, required this dot label. All right, like that. Now let's initialize that like that, and then here now we need to return that button. So again, we have a size box. So this is actually going to be quite similar to the other button that we created. So first of all, let's just copy that for without wasting much time. And then let's change what we need to change here. So like the button style here, what we are going to change here, instead of the deep purple here, let's just have white. And then the on top, we're going to have on pressed. And then here on the title, let's put this in a row. Okay, so let's wrap this in a row. All right, now here let's put everything in the center. So main axis alignment dot center, and then this title is going to be a label. What else can we put here? Now we need to put the image. Okay, so this image is going to be the first child. Okay, so we need to call image asset. Now the asset is going to be a logout URL like that. So this, we also need to give it a height. So maybe we are going to try 30. We'll see how it's going to look. And then next here, we also need to put a size box on top. Constant of size box with 10 as a width. And then the text here, since this is white, this text, let's put it to black. Okay, great. So this is going to be our sign in button. Now the next thing to do is we come here to the global. Here where we are putting the play button, we have to check if it's signed in. Remember, we are sending this is signed in. Okay, so here, first of all, if it is single, we are just going to show this either is signed in or not. Okay, if we go to multiplayer, we have to check if it's signed in, and then now we can show the sign in button. Okay, so let's do the checks right here. So let's come above here. We're going to, this is how we are going to check if game provider, okay, sorry, if game provider dot game mode, first, yeah, we're not gonna directly do that. If game provider game mode is equals to multiplayer, now we have to do another check, and okay, and is not signed in. Okay, we are going to show our sign in button. Okay, sign in button. Okay, like that. Else we just need to show the play button. Okay, so the logo here is going to come from asset manager dot Google. We named it as a Google. Okay, what is the name of the assets? It's called assets manager, not asset manager. This is assets manager dot so let's import this. Okay, assets with a small s like that. Let's import this. Assets manager dot Google logo. Then the label here is going to be sign in, and then the on pressed, we have to create the sign in with Google method. Okay, so let's just put a comma, and then that's all we need to do. Now let's hot reload. Now if we click here, if we are in here, we just going to see play, and then if we go here, we have to see the Google sign in here. Okay, so okay, let's see why it did not happen. So let's go in the sign in button. Now here we know that we have put that, and then the label, we know that we are sending that. So what seems to be the problem? So let's see. Okay, everything here is all right. We don't have a problem here. If we go to the global, then there is signed in here. Let's go to show. We know that is signed in is false. Okay, so we should be able to read that. So let's hot reload one more time, and then let's click here. So we are in multiplayer. Okay, so what is the problem here? When we click here, we should see our Google button here. All right, first to test it, let's close this. Let's just show this button only. Okay, let's copy that, and then let's paste it here, and then let's comment that. Let's hot reload. We click here. Okay, so now we have a problem. Okay, because even if we are putting this button here, the sign in button, we're still not showing it. Okay, you can see that we are showing the play button, so which means something is wrong here. Sign in button. We have something very wrong here. What if we remove that? Right, I don't think our application is restarting, so let's just run it. So I'm not sure if our application is running because we don't have anything here, but it's showing. So I'm just gonna stop it and then run it again because we are showing results which doesn't make sense. This is our, okay, you can see now we have an error. Let's try to remove that. Let's remove the unused imports. Let's see if we run it again. We don't have any. Okay, now we are sure that it's running. Okay, great. Now let's open it. Now you can see that nothing is coming up. Yeah, which is correct. Now let's uncomment this. We have to import these again because we removed them from above. Let's import, and then let's hot reload. Okay, yeah, I see why it wasn't running, because what we did is we added the new assets here and then we tried to hot restart. It can't work like that. We have to run it from the beginning. Okay, so now when we click here, we have this button, but when we go to multiple, it's going to ask us to sign in because the sign in here, remember we are sending it as false. Okay, so now in the sign in button also, I think maybe this should be 20. That is too much. Let's hot reload. Yeah, maybe something like that. All right, now that's it. We are done with this UI of here. But what we know is everything from up here, here, all of this is working. The next thing is just to start playing the game with the start button. Okay, then after we start playing the game, now we are going to be displaying time and all of this. After that, we're going to move to multiplayer section. Okay, so thank you guys, and see you in the next video.